Hello, viewers. It's time for makgeolli talk. Time for me to talk to myself about delicious Korean rice wine. And today's topic is CHEONGJU. I'm going to talk about what CHEONGJU is, why you might want to make CHEONGJU, and my recommendations for the best way to do it. The purpose of this channel is to promote rustic Asian rice wine, and one of the series I have on this channel is the makgeolli Talk series. So take a look at some of the earlier videos I've done if you are interested in rice wine. I've been publishing a video every week for 5 years, so there's more than 250 videos for you to watch. If you like this video, please click that like button and subscribe. Click the bell to be notified of any updates, and please share this video wherever it is appropriate. So this is CHEONGJU. It is a clear rice wine, Korean rice wine, fermented. So the maximum alcohol percentage could be up to 20%, but more likely somewhere in the range of 12 to 20%. And so it's same strength as grape wine and has similar appearance as white grape wine, sort of this yellowish clear color. So this is CHEONGJU. And where does CHEONGJU come from? When you're brewing makgeolli, which is roughly filtered, there's a lot of sediment. And before you drink makgeolli, you shake the bottle and mix it all up. And part of the process is also diluting it with water, so it has less alcohol in the end. But makgeolli includes this sediment. Now, so the sediment is called the takju, and this top part, the transparent layer, is called CHEONGJU. So it's possible to carefully separate these, and I'll show you right now what that looks like. Now this plastic bottle has settled in the fridge for months, so it's really settled a lot. There's not much sediment at the bottom, and it's pretty solid. So by carefully pouring it, so as not to disturb the sediment, you can pour off the clear layer, the CHEONGJU, and I'm pouring that into a glass bottle for long-term storage. And one of the reasons for doing this, well, CHEONGJU is the higher end product. CHEONGJU is a higher end product than makgeolli, and it will last longer than makgeolli. Makgeolli is meant to be consumed fresh. Your home brewed makgeolli is going to last a month or two in the fridge, no problem. And it should have a nice fresh taste. But if you want to keep it longer than that, the best way to do that is to pour off the CHEONGJU into the glass bottle. And now this bottle will last for years in the fridge. So there are a few reasons for wanting to make CHEONGJU. For one thing, CHEONGJU is the higher end product. By separating out the clear layer, that's a fancier product, and maybe that's what you want to be producing. You could always, if you separate these earlier, not waiting a few months, but just wait a week or so in the fridge. If you separate it early, you can mix the takju with water, and that can be your makgeolli, and your CHEONGJU layer, that's what you're going to keep for longer. So that's the other advantage of CHEONGJU, is that you don't have to consume it fresh. In fact, it might benefit from some aging. So the CHEONGJU, you can preserve it, for the long term. Even just the simple way that I'm doing it, pouring it into a glass jar, I can keep that for a few years in the fridge without the quality suffering. In fact, it might improve a bit. And another reason, maybe you just like maybe you like the taste of CHEONGJU. Maybe you don't want the sediment. Maybe you don't want it diluted with water. So those are some reasons why you might want to make CHEONGJU. Maybe you want a higher alcohol product than makgeolli. Maybe you want a fancier, higher end product. Maybe you want something that'll last longer in the fridge, and maybe you just like the taste better. So those are all good reasons for wanting to make CHEONGJU. So if you want to make CHEONGJU, what can I recommend to you? What can you do to increase your chances of success? So you can see that this could be a different, brewing for CHEONGJU could be different than brewing for makgeolli. Makgeolli, you want to consume fresh. So if you focus on that, you're less concerned with how much sediment you have and how it settles out. So these are my recommendations for things to do differently if you are focused on CHEONGJU. So I'm basing these recommendations on the results of my experiments that you can see on earlier videos on my channel. I think the most important general principle is that you want complete fermentation and high alcohol for CHEONGJU. You definitely don't want any starch left over. So I think one of the most important things is to have a strong, powerful nurug. That's when I've gotten the clearest CHEONGJU, is when I had the most powerful nurug that converted the starch to sugar most efficiently. So that seems to be important. Another thing that's important is doing a multi-stage brewing process. Doing a 2 or 3 stage process allows for more of the starch to be converted, more complete fermentation overall. And based on the results of my experiments, you don't want to rush. You don't want like a short first stage. It'd be better to have a slightly longer first stage than a short first stage. And going along with this principle, you'd want a long fermentation time. And you're not interested in carbonation. If you were brewing, if you wanted a fresh makgeolli that you're going to consume quickly, you might want to bottle quite early and have a brew with a lot of carbonation. You don't want that with CHEONGJU. So you want to ferment as reasonably long, and so the fermentation is complete, and so there's no carbonation that's going to stir up the sediment. I'm not sure that this is required, but I would recommend a cooler fermentation temperature. Take your time. This is going to be a long and slow brew. It's going to be easier to handle if it's at a lower temperature during the brewing process. In terms of how to settle the sediment, it should settle naturally. You can see in all my videos, I try to show how much it settles in 3 or 4 days after bottling. And after a few months, most of my brews become clear. Not all of them. If they don't become clear, it's not really suitable for CHEONGJU. But most of my brews do become clear in the fridge and settle to quite a small layer. About 1/8 of this bottle is takju, and the 7/8 is CHEONGJU. So I think that's a good proportion. So this is suitable. Now this one is still a bit cloudy. So it needs some more time in the fridge, and maybe some venting to make sure that no carbonation is taking place. This is what you want in the end. This is any sediment that's left is going to, there's a very small amount of sediment that settles to the bottom again. And it is important to store in glass bottles for the long term. You don't really want to store alcohol in plastic for long-term storage. My last bit of recommendation is to avoid adding fruit. Fruit often contains pectin, and that's going to affect the how the brew settles. So I think some herbal brews are okay. So some additional ingredients are okay, but I would avoid the fruit. So those are my recommendations for making CHEONGJU. You want a complete fermentation, high alcohol, so you want strong nuruk. You want multi-stage brewing process, long fermentation time. Take your time. Don't rush the stages. I prefer a cool brewing temperature. Let it settle in the fridge. Pour it into a glass container for long-term storage. Avoid fruit additives. Some other additives could be okay, but you're going to have to experiment. So hope you found this video interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching.